For millions of years, before birds evolved and long before the rise of the mammals, cold-blooded animals ruled the world. In some places, they still do. Some of these reptiles witnessed the dinosaurs come and go. Yet, in all that time, they themselves remained virtually unchanged. Among them were some of the most impressive reptiles alive today. They took that most characteristic of reptilian features, the scale, to extremes. They turned it into armor. That increased their weight. But nevertheless, some can still move with extraordinary speed. And although they may appear cold and impassive, they can nonetheless be passionate and even affectionate. Among them are the biggest of all reptiles alive today. They're the crocodiles, the turtles, and the tortoises. This is a giant Galapagos tortoise, and it's climbed all the way up the flank of this great volcano and is here wandering around the rim of the crater. But why should it come to such a bleak and inhospitable place? Tortoises, being reptiles, can't generate their own body heat internally, as we do. Instead, they must get it from their surroundings. And these particular ones have come up here to warm themselves on the hot volcanic rocks among the jets of steam and sulfurous gas. They live longer than any other animal on Earth, well over 150 years. They weigh up to 1/4 of a ton and have shells over 1 meter across. They really are giants. Having a body encased in shell obviously brings problems, and one of them is how do you mate? Making love in a suit of armor is not easy. But the males have a very ingenious solution. The underside of their shell is concave, so it fits neatly over the domed top of the shell of the female, who is somewhat smaller. That doesn't make clambering on top of her any easier initially, but once the male is up there, it will reduce his chance of slipping off. The two shells fit together as neatly as 2 spoons. So mating can begin. And once started, it can go on for a long time. A tortoise's shell is so familiar to us, it's easy to forget what an extraordinary construction it is. But how did it originate? Nearly all reptiles are covered in scales, and so were the tortoise's ancestors. But then, as they evolved, a radical change took place. The ribs expanded outwards so that they enclosed the hip and the shoulder joints. They enlarged and fused with other bones beneath the skin. They widened, and eventually they joined together to form a bony box. Above, The scales in the skin enlarged to form a continuous shield of horn on the surface of the box, and the basic armour was complete. It's midsummer, it's nearly midday, and it's very, very hot. And as a consequence, I'm sweating. Sweating is a direct response to heat that only mammals can do. No reptile like this gopher tortoise has got sweat glands, but instead it's got another way of keeping itself cool. Most reptiles head for the shade when it gets too hot. To see where this gopher tortoise is heading here in Florida, I'm going to use this. A remotely controlled mini camera on wheels with its own lights. It can go pretty well anywhere. The gopher tortoise is heading for home. And with luck, I'll be able to follow it, the tortoise, as it goes down into its burrow. And that camera has also got a thermometer mounted on it. Already, I can see the temperature is beginning to drop. The further down the burrow we go, the cooler it gets. Now, where's the tortoise? There it is. I'm right behind. We're now a couple of meters in, but the burrow could go on for some 50 feet, 17 meters. And it's all been built by this tortoise. Well, that is not a tortoise, that's a rattlesnake. Obviously, taking shelter from the heat, just as the tortoise is. The tortoise is so well armoured, it's in no danger from the snake, and gopher tortoises don't seem to mind sharing their burrows.